everyone. So we will continue our next topic about parties involved in construction project, client and construction team. Okay, this is the content for this topic. We're going to go through the introduction, project overview, client's responsibilities, client's goal, client's representatives, duties and responsibilities. So as an introduction, in any construction project, a well-defined network of stakeholders plays a pivotal role in its success. This topic develops into intricate world of construction project and more specifically explore the dynamic interplay team between client and construction team. So on this topic, you are going to understand further about client and construction team. So understanding the roles and relationships of this key player is very essential for effective project management and successful project delivery. We go to the project overview. Okay, this is the overview of the project. So you have to understand what is project scope, project type, project size and complexity, and project location. Okay, so project scope. At its core, a construction project begins with a well-defined scope. This scope outlines the project purpose, objectives, and the desired end result. So we have to understand what are the scope of the project. What kind of project? What kind is the project type? We have to know what are the purpose of this project. So the purpose of this project is to provide hospitals. The purpose of the project to provide school, education to that area, to provide health services to the area. The purpose of this project is to provide infrastructures, roads, highways. Okay, so we have to know what are the purpose and the objective to provide what? To provide education, to provide road services, to provide commercial, residential. What are the purpose on the objective of this project? So it serves as the foundation upon which all project decisions are made. So this is the decision where the client will have to make. So this is the foundation. Let's say that you have a piece of land, and then according to that area, we require health services on that area. Okay, so we want to develop a hospital. So this is set the foundations of this project. The next is the project type. Construction project come in various forms, either residential, commercials, infrastructures, like bridges, road, and so on. So every types of project has their own unique challenges and also requirement. So first we have to know what kind of project, what types of the project. Is it residential? Is it commercial building? Is it a factories, schools, infrastructures? So all of these type has their own challenges and requirement. So requirement by whom? Requirement by the local authorities, requirement by the Majlis Perbandaran, requirement by the development, department. Okay, so we have to know what the project type, and then project size and complexities. Project can vary significantly in terms of size and complexity. Some may be small, single unit, while others can be large-scale, multi-phase undertaking. So complexity often relates to the technical intricacies and regulatory requirements involved. So again, the size, project size, and then the complexity, how complex, how difficult it is. So it's range between less complex to the more complex construction. So they have to fulfill the technical, regulatory. So if there are more complex construction, they might require more advanced technology, more experts, more well-experienced contractors. So these are the one of the element. And then project location. So the geographical locations of the project can influence the materials, regulations, environmental considerations. So this one, where will be the locations of the project? If there is in rural area, so how we want to get the materials to be delivered to the project, and how we want to get the equipment, okay, to rent the equipment, to deliver the equipment, or perhaps that if this project choose IBS, still remember IBS, I told you before, the industrial building system, where we build the components off-site on the factories, for example, like beam, wall, column, we build it off-site in the factories and then transport it to the construction and we install that component. So the process of delivery, so it is a main uh, key consideration that we have to look on project location. And then the regulation, of course, this is very regulation depends on the area. And also environmental consideration. Is it near the um, river? Uh, is it going to be near the beach areas? Is it going to be located at the condensed area? So we have to consider that. And then budget and financing. Understanding the project financial constraints and source of funding is critical. These affect decisions on materials, design, and project management. So of course, everything must come into what the budget has been allocated for that project. Who going to finance that project and how much? So if we have a large amount of budget has been allocated for the project, we might have use different kinds of materials. We might have more expert project team management. So this one is very crucial. So this budget and financing is also one of the constraints, okay, of the project. So we have to construct this project within this allocate budget. We cannot over budget. We try to reduce everything within this budget. Okay. Next one, project objectives. Every project has specific objectives that align with the client's goal. These objectives could be centered on profitability, environmental sustainability, community impact, or combinations of factors. So what are the project objectives? So project objective much aligned with the client goals. Remember what the project scope is. So what are the goals of the client? What the client wants? Okay, they want that this project could profit the client in future. So this is the objective. Another might be environmental sustainability. So perhaps that this building must incorporate sustainable features. Okay, use sustainable materials, or this could be a green building. So this is the objective, or perhaps the community, or it could be combinations of all the factors. So the client will set what are the objectives. Okay, stakeholder identification. This one. Early identifications of stakeholders, including the client, construction teams, regulatory bodies, and local communities is key. Their interests and concerns shape project planning and execution. So we have to identify who are the stakeholders that will involve in this project. Okay, like local communities, if the project will be constructed at um, at the rural area, at the remote area, kampung, whatever kan. So what are the local communities there? We have to consider the concern, okay, in terms of environmental issues lah, that pollution, the access road, the lorry coming in and out, the safety of the community. So we have to consider that. And then the next is we need to choose the right construction team who are going to construct this. Okay. Project timeline, the timeline including start and completion data. So this is one of the important things. Okay, when is the project will be started and when it will be completed. Okay, this is vital aspect of any construction project. It dictates the pace of work and influences resource allocation. So when you get a tender, a project, you might know when is the start date and when is the completion date. So from start and completed, where's my okay, you have to plan the work in between. You have to allocate resources between each of the tasks, okay, of the project. So how efficient are you or how competent are you to allocate these resources will reflect on the work breakdown structure. Work breakdown structures means that the work that you organize into a table or a diagram. So you organize all your works and then you know when how to manage your project. So when you allocate that resources, the time of each of the tasks, so you know how you can plan your work. And then project risks and challenges. Lastly, it's essential to acknowledge the inherent risks and challenges that may arise during the project. This could include weather-related, delay, and so on. So every project always face many risks and challenges. Okay, we never know. Sometimes the risks on pandemic, sometimes the project delays because of the shortage of labor. Sometimes project face the delay related to changes of regulations. So it depends. So these are the project risks and challenges that a contractors or the project team need to face and to handle, and also to manage to reduce the risk. That one is the keywords, reduce the risk. They have to know that how to reduce the risk so that the project could finish within the time frame. Okay. All right. I think this is you already know about what is the residential, education, industrial, commercial building is. Okay, residential like housing, education, schools, industrial like factories, commercial like shopping malls, supermarket, recreational like park, okay, lake, swimming pool, what else? So it is the types of project, okay, under this categories. Okay, we move on to the design team, construction team, legislative team, and manufacturer team. Okay, the participants in the construction process can be categorized into group or teams according to their roles or involvements. So this is the participants as generally participants that involved in the construction. Okay, we have client, we have design team, construction teams, and then others, which includes legislative and manufacturer teams. So what or who is client? Client is an individual. Okay, so it could be, not all of it, it could be an individual. Let's say you as an individual, you have land, okay, a piece of land, then you want to construct a bungalow house for your family. So you are the individual that will be the client and also will set the budget. Okay, a company, okay, perhaps a company, a private company, a developer, for example, or you have established a company, okay, and then you want to develop something, okay, to expand your company, to expand you are going to get involved into property. So company, local authorities, example of local authorities, perhaps the um Majlis Perbandaran Tempatan, okay, local authorities of the certain areas, they have development plan that they knew that they need to construct something on that area. So they the one who will become the client. And then, as you know, government department, okay, any government departments, Ministry of Health, we have what else, Ministry of um, um, Education and so on. So they are the client lah. Next, who is the design team? The design team, which is consultants, interpret the client's requirements into specific design and documentations and consists of architects, engineers, quantity surveyors, and others. Others might be someone that they appoint to work with the design team. Okay. So who is the construction team? Construction teams who carry out operation on sites and translate the design and documentation into reality. So this is the keywords. Okay, the construction teams, they are depending on the design and also the documents, okay, that given to them, and then construct and transform that design and document into a real building, okay, into a reality. It consists of main contractors, construction managers, subcontractors, suppliers, specialists that work with the contractors. Okay, so the contractor have their own specialists or suppliers. Is legislative team. Before construction works can commence on site, approval has to be obtained from the various authorities. So legislative team is normally a parties that give approval, okay, to the site. Okay, for example, like town planner department, town planning, okay, they will approve the design, the area. Let's say this area is for recreational areas, so they have to look on the design and to approve it. Okay, and the local authorities who are the um, majlis, okay, majlis, and then water, and then electrical services, okay, technical agencies on part of perhaps environmental department, so on. So they will look through the applications, okay, and then they are the one who give the approval for the constructions to commence. And then who is the manufacturing team? This is involve suppliers of the materials, components, and equipment which used during the construction process, and therefore incorporates many organizations. So manufacturing teams could work with the contractors, and they could also work with the consultant as well. Okay. Okay, next on the client and client responsibilities. Clients, as I mentioned before, who is client? Is individual, organizations, entity that initiates the construction project. So this is the individual that initiate. So they provide funding, okay, and also the ultimate visions of the result. Client roles. Client role pivotal as they set the project objective, define success criteria, approve major decisions throughout the project life cycles. So what are the roles of the client? They set the project objective. Remember what is project objective? Okay. And then they know what are the criteria. So they approve major decision, okay, throughout the project life cycle. Decision-making authorities, yes, they hold decision-making authorities over critical aspects such as project scope, budget, timeline, and design preference. Okay, they have strong words on this. What kind of scope, what the design will look like, and then they set what are the allocated budget and also timeline. They wanted to this project need to be finished within 2 years, for example. So they are the one who set the timeline. Financial responsibility, as I mentioned before, expectation and vision. Client bring the expectation and vision to the project, serve as guide compass of the construction team. So everything must according to what the client visions. So the construction teams must work together with the client to understand what the client want. Okay, I want like this building to be constructed like this. I want that to be the material is to use the high quality materials. The client wants the building is to be a green building. So what are the visions of the client? So the construction team needs to work closely to the client. And then communication with stakeholders. Of course, to work with the client, communication is very important. So they have to always communicate with construction teams, regulatory authorities, and also local communities. So they have to address what are the concerns faced by the local communities. If the local community says that they face huge problems on pollution, so the client have to address that concerns. Okay. Risks and rewards. Client assume both risks and rewards associated with the project. This includes potential financial risks and satisfactions of seeing their vision came to life. Client satisfactions. Ultimately, the success of the project is measured by the client satisfactions with the final outcome. So finally, we wanted to satisfy the client needs. Okay. So it is very crucial to understand what are the client's needs, understand what their visions, their objective. So all parties involved in the construction industry could help to transform the visions of the client into the reality. Okay. Okay. Next, client's responsibilities. Project initiation. Yes, we know who are the one who initiate the projects, who providing the concept or ideas. Okay, this is responsible of clients, so responsibilities of the client. And then the client also need to set objective. They will outline what they aim to achieve through the construction project. These objectives serve as the guiding principle of project decision. And then they will define scopes of the project, which includes the project will encompass its size, features, and deliverables. So they set what are the objectives, and then the client will set the scope of the project, the size of this project, what are the features that they wanted, and then how it will be delivered. Okay, budget consideration, yes, of course, client need to allocate and manage the project cost, and then to ensure that sufficient funds are available, okay, to various project phases. So we know that you should know that project phase, okay, start with the initial phase and then go to the initial and design phase. After that, go to construction phase, and then find completed phase. Okay, so make sure that all the budget, okay, are available throughout all the phases. That is the responsibility of the client. So if the client doesn't have enough budget, so the client should try to find different funding, make some loan from the bank, okay, to fund the project. Okay, next one is selecting the construction teams. Of course, if it's my project, my 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 building, I wanted to select the right construction team, okay, to realize what my vision is. So the client responsible for selecting who are the key players involved in the project, such as general contractors, who are the architects, who are the designers, the subcon. So this is the responsibility of the client. Approving design, yes, clients must review and approve architectural and engineering design. So making decision about the project appearance and functionality. So of course, this is my project. Okay, I will have the authority to approve the design, and I want to make sure that this project appear what I wanted and to function well as I wish. Okay. Regulatory compliance. Clients are accountable for ensuring the project complies with local building codes regulations. So they have to make sure this design is compliant with the building codes and also the regulations, safety regulations, fire regulations, and whatever regulation that the building needs to fulfill. Project timeline. Client collaborates with the construction teams in terms of project timelines, including start and completion date. And furthermore, quality standards. Okay, so the client is the one who set what are the quality standard for the project. So they were outlining what are the level of quality, the craftsmanship expected in the final delivery. And some of the client, as I mentioned before, required the contractors who has a star rating from the QLASIC. Okay, QLASIC is the star rating given by the CIDB, Construction Industry Development Board, that assess the quality of the contractor's workmanship on the current building. Okay, let's say that this contractor has completed the project, and then the client say that you have to appoint a representative from the CIDB to check your quality of workmanship. So this contractor need to appoint CIDB officers to come in and to check all the quality aspect of the building and give the star rating. So let's say the client say, I want a contractor who has 4 to 5 star rating from QLASI. So that contractors need to fulfill that. Okay. Effective communication, yes, this is very important. So clients should establish, maintain open lines of communication with the construction teams and other stakeholders to address concern and make informed decisions. So when there is a problems, when there is a changes of design, when there is a issues, communication is very important between the client and the construction teams, and also perhaps with the local communities. So everyone involved in the construction. Risk management, clients are involved in assessing and managing project risks, including anticipating potential challenges and developing strategies to mitigate them. If the client can identify the risk earlier, let's say, for example, the project will be constructed on the abandoned previous project. Okay, like previously, this site has abandoned old building. Okay, so the client need to assess what are the risks, what are the challenges. Let's say they have to demolish the existing structures to take out all the waste, okay, and transport it to the waste disposal area. And so that client need to think how to do it, and then to develop the strategies. And also this should be incorporated into the document, the demolition, not just the constructions. Okay, the construction will come after the demolition. So we have to demolish the existing structures, and how much is the cost that the contractors, we need to pay to the contractors to demolish the existing structures, clear out all the site, and then to start construction. So these are the costs that the client need to allocate for their project. Okay, and then to identify the strategies, okay, to overcome all the challenges. Okay, that one, if the client know what are the uh, potential challenges, so they have to think how to mitigate, okay, these challenges. Project evaluation, after project completion, client are responsible for every progress of the project success meeting, the predefined objective and criteria. So the project evaluation must do periodically, okay? So every month, sometimes every twice a month. So this progress should be recorded, okay? And then to define whether this project is aligned with the objective and the criteria of the project. So the client need to evaluate lah. They have to look through all the progress of the project. So the successful executions of this responsibility by the client ensure that the projects are aligned with the vision and stay within the budget, meet the intent and objective. Okay. So the effective collaborations with all the project teams is very essential. Okay, because it involves so many people in one project. So the collaborations, the communication between each parties is very important or very essential. Next, client's goal. Client's goal is comprises of the project objective. This is as mentioned before, financial goals, timeline schedule, quality standard. So these are the goals that uh, set, okay, that's set by the uh, set by the client. Okay, next one is aesthetic preference. So the client is the one who decide uh, what are the aesthetic preference and design choices. Okay, the shape of the project visual, the architectural aspect. So this can significantly impact the project characters. Functionality and purpose. Clients specify the intended functionality of the completed project, ensuring it aligns with their needs and demands of the end users. And then sustainability and environmental goal. Many clients today have sustainability and environmental goal, which can influence design, material, construction methods. So now we are going towards the Sustainable Development Goal, SDG. Later on, you will understand. You will learn about what is SDG. We have to incorporate sustainable features in the building. Sometimes throughout the construction process, we have to use sustainable materials and so on. So this will influence the design, okay, the construction methods. So this is what are the client's goals. Community and stakeholder consideration. Client may have community or stakeholder related goals, such as minimizing disruption to the local community or enhance public spaces. So what are the goals of the client? Perhaps one of it to fulfill the community's consideration. And then compliance and regulatory objectives. Client aims to ensure that project complies with all applicable law, regulations, and building codes. Okay, reducing legal and regulatory risk. So make sure that client must comply all the law regulations. Risk mitigation, as I mentioned before. So they have to identify what are the risk management, okay, and then what are the mitigation potential to address the risk. Long-term viability. Some clients focus on long-term viability of the project, aiming to create structures that will remain relevant and functional for decades to come. Returns on investment. Client with a commercial focus may seek a specific ROI, whether through increased property values, rental income, or business expansion. So sometimes the projects involve to develop a 5-star rental apartment. They have constructed that. The purpose of that is to develop apartments, that a 5-star apartment, fully furnished apartment, okay, so they, after the project completed, they can rent this apartment to a specific client that required a 5-star rental apartment without thinking about the furniture, what they need to bring to the house. Everything is fully furnished. They just bring their own clothes and bags. That's it. So what are the goals of that project? So understanding the client goals, objective, expectation is crucial for the construction teams and other stakeholders. It helps ensure alignment with the client visions, leading to successful projects that not only meet technical specifications but also fulfill the broader aspirations of the client. This alignment is essential for fostering trust and collaboration throughout the project. Okay. Next, we go on to the client representatives. We know that the client is the project owner. So the project owner has their own representatives. Okay, most of construction project, client designates individual or teams to act on their behalf and facilitates communication and decision making. These representatives are essential for ensuring effective collaboration between the clients and the construction teams. So sometimes clients will hire some individuals or other teams on the client's behalf. Okay, for what? To facilitate communications and decision making on behalf of the client. Okay, who are the client representatives? Client representatives are individuals or groups selected by the client to represent their interests in the construction project. There can be internal staff or external consultant. And role and responsibility of the client representative is to help with the communication and also decision making. The responsible often include communication facilitation. They serve as intermediaries between the clients and construction teams. So this person will be the middleman, okay, between the client and also the construction teams. So they will communicate, okay, the information to make sure that the flow information run smoothly both direction. Communication channel. Okay, they establish and maintain effective communication channel with the project team, ensuring that stakeholders are informed and involved. Decision-making process. Client representative often participate in the decision-making process, especially when rapid decisions are required to keep the project on track. For example, like there is a problems on site, so the contractor will seek advice from the client, okay, and the client, along with the client representative, will help to discuss and come up with the solutions for that problem. Okay, so these are one of the role of client representative. Clients also getting help uh, with client representative as well. Client vision enforcers. They serve as guardians, okay, guardians of the client's vision, ensuring that the project aligns with the client's goal and expectation. Client and stakeholder liaison. Client representative may also liaise with stakeholders such as regulatory authorities, local communities, or neighboring businesses to address concerns and maintain positive relationships. So this is the responsibilities of the client's representatives. And then another continuation of a client representative is documentation management. They also help the client to document, okay, all the project. So they will manage all the records to make sure that the records are accurate, to make sure that it's accessible. So this is the roles of client representative. And then effective client representative are crucial in streamlining project communication, preventing misunderstanding, and ensuring that the project stays on track. Their role helps maintain transparency, accountability, and the overall success of the construction project by bridging the gap between the client visions and the practicalities of the construction. Okay, so this one is the duties and responsibilities of the client. During based on the phases of the project, or either I call it phase of project ataupun stage of project. So we have inception or design stage. Okay, during the inception and design stage, the client need to identify what are the requirements and then to consider the legal responsibilities. And then the client also need to consider what are the financial aspect, how much is the budget, engage decision teams. So they will appoint the design teams, okay, to come up with the design and then make decision, sign the contract. So this is happening in the inception or design stage. And then after that, when it comes to construction stage, what are the responsibility of the client? So meets necessary contractual payment. So the client will make sure that during the construction stage, all the payment is based on the contract. So when the contractor claim the payment to the client need to pay based on the contract, how much based on the project progress. Okay, during the completion stage, the duties or responsibility of the client. So on the payments of the penultimate certificates, extra contractual claims, professional fees, settlements of finance accounts. So during this stage, they have to make sure that all the contracts have been fulfilled the professional fees has been paid, honor payments or any certificates approval that required any payment has already been paid, and then to settle all the final accounts to the contractors, pay whatever to close the project lah, to make sure everything has been cleared. Okay, this is the responsibility of the client. The duty and responsibilities of the client, we know that there is an inception or design stage. So the client is uh, will formulate the requirement. So or you know that clients always know what he wanted. So what are the requirements? So the duties and responsibility of the architects to develop the drawing. Okay, from outline drawings to sketch plans and then to final or detailed drawing. Meaning that from the simple sketch of the drawing until the final or the detail of the drawing. And then they will bring together the design theme, which they also prepare the contract drawings and also meeting with the contractor. So this is the initial stage, or we call it design stage, okay, the preparation stage. And then when it goes to the construction stage, whereby the architect, their responsibility is to monitor project progress and keep client informed. So everything progress, anything issues happen during the construction stage, so the client, the architect will inform to the client and then pass on interim certificates to the contractors. So this one is the certificates after certain the stages that contractors has completed the job. So they will pass on the interim certificates to the contractors. After that, go to the end stage, which is the completion stage. This is whereby the architect will issue the certificates of the completion to the contractor, okay, and then issue the certificates of making goods defect. So after the project has completed, okay, before the contractors hand over the whole project to the client, there is a certain period whereby we call it a defect liability period. Okay, so there is when the architect or um, um, the representative from the client will look on the project to detect any defects, okay, on the building. So if they found any defects on the building, they have to inform to the contractors to recover it, or we call it to mitigate the problems, to solve the problem, to rectify it, okay, until they're satisfied. That is, we call it defect liability periods, whereby any defects, any broken or any cracks happen on that building, so the contractor has to amend it, has to recover, has to do some corrections or mitigation before it could close the project and hand over the project to the client. And then we go on to duties and responsibility of the quantity surveyors. During the inception and design stage, the QS, they have to prepare the first estimate, they estimate the cost, okay, the approximate estimate, and then cost check. They have to prepare the bill of quantities, and then to develop, to compile the tender documents, and then to make tender reports and contract documents. So this is the responsibility of QS, mostly on cost and estimations and also tender document. Okay, and then in that tender documents, it has bill of quantities. What is bill of quantities? Which is the QS has to list out all the quantities of the building from ground, from substructure to the top, to the roof, to the substructure to the superstructure. Okay, every details of the quantities of to develop that building has to be appear, has to be displayed in that bill of quantity, so that the contractors may include their own costs. Okay, this one is the quantity surveyors that working with the client. They will come up with the first estimations of the building. They will come up with the bill of quantities. Okay, again, next, when they open for tender, for the contractor to submit the tender, before the contractor come to submit the tender, the contractor need to buy the tender document. Okay, so from the tender document, the contractors will fill in the bill of quantities. So this is the list of the quantities. So the contractor also have their own QS to fill in the cost of that quantity. So the contractor has their own budget, their own cost, and the client also, they have their own costs. So when the contractor submit the tender, so the client need to compare lah, between our own budget with our own cost, and also with the cost submitted by the contractors. So which are the budget, which are the project costs that nearly to us, to the client. So I will choose that contractors. Apa tu? Apart from evaluate the contractor past performance and his experience lah. Okay. On construction stage, monthly evaluation. So this is similar to quantity surveyors that work with the client, and also quantity surveyors that work with the contractors. Okay, the QES need to evaluate the monthly progress value. Okay, submit to client, and on client side, the QS from the client side will check that value. Okay, does the value tally or not? Okay, with the claim submitted. And then pricings of variation orders. So I have mentioned before, variation order is the any changes, okay, from the client side. Okay, if the client requests any changes to the drawing, to the method of construction, to the anything that come from the client, we call it variation orders. So the QS need to evaluate that, need to have price for that VO. Okay, so if that VO is from the client side, so the client will bear the cost lah. Okay, so that is the variation orders. So the QS has the pricing of that variation orders. Prepare interim certificates, monitor running costs of the project. Okay, so this is the responsibility of QS. They have to monitor the cost of the project, make sure that the cost doesn't go beyond what we have planned. Okay, and then to the completion stage, prepare final accounts, finalize extra contractual costs. So after the project is completed, of course, QS have to calculate and prepare the final accounts of that project, and also finalize any extra contractual costs, cost of the delay, cost of the defects, cost of the VOs and everything, anything that beyond contracts. Okay, let's say that these contracts only involve 20 millions, but that's something extra from the contract. When there is a VO, there is a delay, defects, and so on, problem, issue, and so on. So the extra cost has imposed up until 10 million, for example, right? So this is a final account. Is responsible by the QS. Okay, structural engineers during inceptions and design stage, they required to advise on the structure's feasibility lah. Okay, during the design stage, after the architect have developed the drawing, so the structural engineer will advise on the structural feasibility, prepare and seek approval for structural working drawing. So after they have designed the structures, they have need to get or required the approval of the structural drawings. During construction stage, they have play a very important roles whereby they need to supervise the constructions of the structure components, because everything relies on the structures. The safety of the building, the strength of the building relies on the structures components. So they have to monitor during the construction process, stage, and then advise on all related engineering issues. Sometimes they design it based on the paper, right? They have the design, drawing, and then they design the structures based on what the drawing made from the architects. But during the construction stage, during the reality of the construction on site, there are several issues encountered, okay, in terms of the soil condition, in terms of the weather make the soil loose, and so on, everything that relates on the engineering parts. So this structure engineer have to advise, okay, on the structure, because they are responsible for the structure of the building. So they have to advise what are the corrective action they need to take. Is there any slump of the soil? So what kind of re, uh, foundation that they have to change or to do something? Okay, so depends. And then after the project complete, correct any project deficiencies prior to final evaluations, project reviews. So this one, they have to look on what are the deficiencies, and then come up with the final evaluations, and look on back the project reviews lah, or specifically on the structure. Service engineers, which they coordinate building service system with other members of the design team. They will supervise installation of services element within the structures. Okay, so before that, what is the service engineer? Okay, service which is involved building services. Okay, so building services is aircon, lift, electrical, okay, power supply, kan? Electrical power supply or water supply. So everything services. In fact, the line cables for internet, they're all service lah, service engineer. So they will supervise all the installation process, and then investigate and give advice on requirement, feasibility of services, and then produce calculation and data required by other members of the design team in the course of their works. Okay, sometimes when the structures drawing has been developed, and architecture drawings, structure drawings, they also require services drawing, which is M&E, mechanical and electrical drawing, MEP, mechanical, electrical and plumbing drawing. Okay, so that one is compulsory to to produce that drawing. Okay, prepare, seek approval of the working drawing. Same goes of when you prepare the drawing, you have to seek approval for that drawing. Duties and responsibility of contractor during design stage. So look here, during design stage. Okay, so during the design stage, this is the intentions of the contractor, whether they interested or not with the project, and then they will go for the site investigation to see on the condition of the site. They will prepare the cost, okay, estimate based on the tender document, okay, and then before that, when they decide to taking up the project, meaning that when the client is open the tender, so open tender, they call it open tender, the contractor have to come and buy the tender documents. They buy the tender documents. In the tender documents, there are a lots of information, such as the site investigations information, the condition of the site, the types of soil and so on. And then based on the tender documents, there are the BQs inside. So they have to estimate, okay, estimate the cost based on the tender documents. After that, they have to return the price tender document. After they did the estimations of the cost, they have to return, okay, return back the tender document with the price. So, upon receipt of tender, discuss with all parties for any amendments or disagreement. When all is resolved, sign the agreement and conditions of contract. So, this is whereby if the tender document is accepted, okay, if the client accept the contractor tender document, so they have to look on and discuss what are the disagreement, what are the amendments, is everything has come into agreement, so they have to sign the contract. Okay, that is during the design stage. On to duty and responsibility of the contractor during construction stage. This is where the pre-construction planning being done, whereby the contractor has to prepare a master program and discuss it with all relevant parties. Master program is where the contractors plan his work, okay, how he allocate all resources, schedule his work and task, okay, to make sure that the flow of the project, okay, and then they have to discuss with relevant parties such as the clients, the suppliers, okay, and also with the people that rent the equipment or the machineries to the contractors. So the contractor need to plan how they are going to uh, manage the project. And then control labor, subcontractors and material for the erections of the project. So they have to control all the labor. This is under the contractor's responsibility. Okay, labor, subcons and materials. And then ensure that the program and costs are maintained. They try to make sure what have they prepared, the master program, and the cost is maintained, is according to the plan. Okay, adhere to all legislations affecting the construction process, and then establish site organizations and ensure harmony between parties. So this is communication, communication is very important. The contractor have to make sure that they can communicate to all the parties, from the clients to the architects, structural engineers, and then throughout his labor to subcons and materials and so on. So communication is basically very crucial during the construction stage. Okay, and then responsibilities and duties of contractor during completion stage. Provide the QS with all the information required for final accounts. So this is QS from the contractor side. Okay, so QS has to prepare all the information according to the final accounts, and then provide the QS with all the information required for extra contractual claims if necessary. If there any necessary, is there any extra claim that contractor required, so they have to provide the information. And then honor defects liability clause and maintenance work as agreed. So this one is, as I said before, there's a period when the project is completed, there's a period whereby the clients and contractor have to watch for defects. Any defects happens on the building, so they have to make some corrections or mitigations, okay, for the project. Okay, that is a duty and responsibility of the clerks of works, COW. COW is the employer's representatives on site. Okay, so this COW is someone from the client side, which is hired by the client, for him to be on site all the time to make sure that uh, to inspect all all the works must be according to the directions of the clients or the architect. So this contractor should provide reasonable facility for the COW to perform his duty, make sure reports to the employers and keep information throughout the project. Because when the contractors need to submit claim based on his progress, they need someone to validate. Okay, the client requires someone to validate the progress of the contractor, so that they put this COW on site to make sure that what the contractor claims is tally with the report from the COW. Okay, to make sure to ensure that the client could issues the amount of claim, okay, accordingly to what contractors required. Duties and responsibility of the local authorities. Of course, local authorities are the enforcement is carried out by the building control officers. They must check the plans, must compliance with the regulations, identify clarifications and amendment required, visit site to carry out statutory inspections. So this one, as I mentioned before, make sure that this project is comply with the local authorities. Okay, like say that fire compliance, safety compliance, building regulations, environmental requirements or regulations, everything. Uh, this is the responsibility of the local authorities. And then duties and responsibility of the subcontractors. There are two categories of subcontractors. SC are under the same conditions responsibility as the main contractors. So we have that one is appointed by the main contractors and one is appointed by the architects. So the one is appointed by the main contractors, we call it subcontractors, which is involved in supply, fix. So main contractor coordinates their works. And then labor only, subcon, fixed only. So this one is two types of AC, which is one is supply and fix, which is they only supply, um, for example, like special, but not special. Special normally being appointed by the client. Let's say, oh my, electric, no, apa, internet cable. Okay, internet cable. So, okay, for example, like internet cable, they have a special, not special, the person that the main contractor will hire, the subcon that will install, that supply the the conduits, the wires for the internet connections for the whole building, and they also are the one who will fix where this cable should be. Okay, the second type is labor only, which is the labor only. Okay, for example, like brick, okay, bricklaying works, bricklaying works. So what are the labor that involved in the bricklaying? Or for example, like concreting. So the labor that involve only concreting. They're not the one who deliver the concrete and then uh, pour the concrete and so on. So delivery may be part from someone else, from the supplier. Supply will come to supply the materials, and then the labor will do the job lah. Okay, fixing only. Okay, nominated, we call it nominated subcon, which is NAC. Okay, I'm not right here, which is NSC is nominated subcon. This is carry out identified duties on the project. This is the very specialized duties that perhaps the clients want. For example, something is special on that building. Uh, what I can think of is, okay, let's say hospital building. There is a equipment or on the hospital unit, electrical equipment that specialize on hospital. Let's say the MRI machines, okay, MRI machine, and then how this machine connected to the system, to the host, the room, and whatever, something that's special. So this one, sometimes the client will appoint their own nominated subcon. Okay, depends. Sometimes they required lift, specialized on lift, NSC, or sometimes even though that electrical features. Okay, for example, like green building electrical features. This client required this specialized supplier that can fix and supply that system to that building. So that is nominated by the the client. So we call it NSC. However, this NSC is being under the responsibility of the main contractors. Okay, see here, SC are the same conditions and responsibility as the main contractors, even though that is being nominated by the client. The next one is supplier. So you know that supply, the one who supply the materials, okay. So their responsibilities, of course, submit invoice on time, or for payment, ensure can complete all obligations and regards of the condition set, ensure that delivery dates are maintained, make sure samples set out fair reflections of the bulk goods. Okay, so the supplier must to make sure that the sample they give to the contractors is a very fair reflection to the bulk goods. When they give the actual products, it should be the same quality as the sample. Okay, so this is the responsibility of the supplier. Okay, right, finally, thank you very much. Bye.